way.
Hey, Anthony, thank you so much. It's the Anthony and Anthony show today. You got to love it. Hi, everyone. Welcome. We have people from all over the world joining us in this webinar, and I am so incredibly thrilled that you're here. This is going to be super fun. We're talking about the top 5 myths regarding CCIE. 2 disclaimers before I begin. Number 1, no animals, including crabs, were harmed during the creation of this webinar. Number 2, I'm going to be making statements about CCIE. Some of them may be considered controversial by the community, and I want to make it clear that the statements that I am making have absolutely zero to do with the fact that I occasionally create CCIE-related training materials. Right now, today, I'm creating CBT nuggets on the topic of EMC, specifically object-based storage devices. So as you can see, my income is not tied directly to anything about CCIE. So this is, honest to goodness, my unbiased opinions on these topics. Well, with those disclaimers in place, let's begin. Myth number 1. This myth is something you will hear oftentimes. You'll see it in social media, you'll see it in blog posts, you'll hear it in conversations, and that is that there is simply no way you're going to pass the lab portion of your CCIE. Why do you think this particular myth gets proliferated? Well, my good friend Keith Barker just last night was telling me about this really super interesting crab bucket syndrome. I had never heard about this before. With the crab bucket syndrome, you have a bucket, and in that bucket, you have placed a crab. That crab, when he's in that bucket by himself, he very easily crawls out of the bucket. Put a whole bunch of crabs in that bucket, and now none of them escape. When one of them tries to escape, the other crabs pull him back into the bucket. Oh, I know. It's really gross to think about. But that so reminded us of this proliferation of the myth that you can't pass. You see, what happens a lot of the times is someone has given up for a variety of reasons in this pursuit, and they are trying to pull others down. They are trying to get others to give up on that pursuit. It's the crab bucket syndrome. Now, another thing that happens is all of these myths get proliferated about the lab, like, oh, they've added a troubleshooting that can't be passed, or they've added a diagnostics that can't be passed. Cisco's freaking out because there's too many people getting CCIEs now, so they're making it so much more difficult. All of these help proliferate this myth that it can't be passed. Is it difficult to pass? Absolutely, it's difficult to pass. Why is it difficult to pass? Well, I'm going to give you a list right now of just a few things you'd have to really work out to pass. You'd need a strategy for your preparation. You'd need a strategy for all 3 sections of the route switch lab exam: troubleshooting, diagnostics, configuration. You'd need time management strategies for all of those sections I just mentioned. You would need to understand the technology deeply. The proctors are great at creating questions that are going to test your deep understanding of the technologies as opposed to a superficial understanding of the technologies. You're going to need to read very carefully. You're going to need to read your exam paper like a lawyer is able to examine and dissect a business contract. You're going to have to verify. Then you're going to have to verify again. Then you're going to have to verify again potentially as you make changes in your lab exam. But remember, you can't over-verify. There's a syndrome that can occur to you in the exam where you're over-verifying things, and now you start to ruin your time management. You're probably going to have to master a particular tracker that's going to help you, not only study, but trackers that you're going to use in the various sections of the lab exam. You're going to have to become excellent at troubleshooting. And I don't care what track you're on, troubleshooting is always going to be a part of your particular CCIE track, whether it's a distinct troubleshooting section or not. You're going to have to avoid a whole bunch of potential stupid human mistakes that you could make, like forgetting to save a config on a device, or locking a proctor out of a device, or erasing a key file you needed on a device. There's lots of just stupid, I was stressed out, I forgot to do something kind of mistakes that you could make. So you see, many people say you cannot pass the lab exam because many people are not going to go through these just sampling of techniques and tips that you need to master in order to pass. They're not going to go through any of that, and to them, the lab is going to be unpassable, and they're going to proliferate that myth. Now, myth number 2 is the exact flip side of this. Myth number 2 is those out there that are saying right now, oh, it's passable, no problem, but don't bother trying because the value of CCIE is gone. Well, why would they say that? Well, 2 of the top reasons I see that today is the CCIE number. You know, when you get your CCIE, you get an incremental number. Mine is 15. I totally am blanking on my exact number right now. Mine is somewhere in the 15,000s, okay? So mine's in the 15,000s, and today the CCIE number is probably like, I don't know, like 38,000 or something. If someone knows it, go ahead and chat it in the chat area. If you know the approximate current CCIE number today that's been assigned, type it in for me. But that number, they look at it and they say, oh my gosh, the market's flooded. There's CCIEs everywhere. It's diminished the value. My goodness, what are these people thinking? Do they realize how many network opportunities there are on this planet? How many people, how the explosion of networking that's taking place in the smallest of organizations to the largest of organizations? And someone help me out. We're roughly around, let's call it 50K. All right, so we're roughly around 50K CCIE numbers. I could look at my number and say, oh my gosh, I got mine 9 years ago, and that is a fact, it was 9 years ago, and look at the jump in number. This is garbage. This is absolute garbage. This is ridiculous. Because don't forget, the CCIE number that you possess is only part of the value equation. The huge thing about obtaining your CCIE is that you have demonstrated your incredible dedication and passion to your discipline, and now it is a stepping stone to your what's going to be huge success, I hope, in the networking industry. When you got it is completely irrelevant. There's a guy walking around right now with a number of 2001, maybe, right? Yeah, well, obviously there is someone with that number, and if that is your number, please, this is not you. This is just a hypothetical example. And the guy walking around with number 48454 may have completely eclipsed those early CCIE numbers in what they have gotten out of the value of their CCIE. Something else is the tremendous variation in CCIE salary. So someone will hear a story of somebody that's making $40,000 a year with their CCIE, that's US dollars, and they proliferate that story saying the guy spent more than that trying to get it. There is a tremendous variation in CCIE salary numbers. I spent 30 minutes in Google last night trying to get a handle on it, and in the US, the numbers that I saw ranged from 60K to 173K. A tremendous variation. So it's the value proposition is not driven, clearly it's not driven by the number of CCIEs wholly, and it's not even driven by a financial number we put on it. There's such variety in here, it proves to us that the CCIE is one important piece of you having an extremely monetarily valuable job in networking. I would love to see the CCIE at $60K here in the United States that's absolutely thrilled, and I'm sure they exist. And they're perfectly happy with the value of their CCIE, even though they're at the lowest end of the monetary spectrum. Number 3, the third myth of CCIE that I see all the time. Oh, let me back up for a moment. Something else I see on the value gone lately, this is cropped up like a virus, is SDN. Oh my goodness. Software-defined networking is going to eliminate the CCIE as we know it. Software-defined networking, when it started, and this is debatable, but you can trace it back to 1995. I say it's debatable because you could even say it goes back farther than that. Software-defined networking is getting super hot right now in terms of people discussing it and what would be capable, but it is not going to put us out of work anytime soon. Come on. The same could be said about virtualization. We've had virtualization since like 1970-something, and virtualization has gotten incredibly hot. I have a great friend who is a server 2012 now guru. When he first started in Microsoft Server Technologies, it was probably, I don't know, what was it, Server 2000 or something? And I have seen his career just absolutely explode. He's still in the Microsoft Server arena. Has a ton changed for him thanks to virtualization about what he does every day in his job? Yes. But his expertise in MS Server is what has enabled him to thrive in the industry and in the new world. And so much of what he does with Microsoft Server every day is completely not impacted by the virtualization of the technologies. So things change. They change fairly slowly in actual reality, and the work that we do changes. So with your routing and switching CCIE in a world of SDN, you're not eliminated. It's just that things begin to change. Myth number 3 is that you have to do X to pass. Okay? Fill in X here. You just see this all the time. You see it in social media. Oh, you want to pass the CCIE lab? Okay, here's what you have to do. You have to watch the CBT Nugget videos. Then you have to do 300 hours of practice using this workbook. Then you have to take 2 mock lab exams, and then you pass. There is no magic recipe or formula for all candidates. That's another reason that people say it's unpassable. They can't come up with the right formula for them, and they fail in this endeavor. So understand that it's going to be very different based on how you like to learn. For instance, part of the key to me passing my route switch was reading cover to cover Routing TCP/IP, Volume 1 and Volume 2. Let me repeat. A key element in me passing my route switch was reading these 2 books cover to cover. I even read the elements of these books that would not appear in my lab exam. For instance, I believe there was MOSPF covered, and this, of course, is not a technology in the route switch. but I read everything about it because it helped me learn the multicast technologies that I would face. So for me, these books were a key ingredient. For many of you out there, these books you would never get through. Maybe you don't like to read like I do. So these books would be your nightmare. Maybe you are going to be watching more videos and doing more command line practice as opposed to reading. There is no one size fits all. The fourth CCIE myth, your proctor is evil. Your proctor is not evil. Your proctor truly desires you to pass. He does. They're not sitting there worried about the number of CCIEs. They're not sitting there trying to eliminate candidates and dash their dreams. They are sitting there doing what? What are they doing? They are sitting there to prevent cheating. They are sitting there to clarify the rules, which primarily have to do with preventing cheating. And they are there to assist in the event there is an equipment failure. That's what they're doing there. So you're going to walk up to them and you're going to say, Mr. Proctor, hi, I just need to ask you a quick question. In this task, it is asking me to configure multicast, and it's not clear to me whether I should do static RP assignment, BSR, or auto RP. And they look at you and they go, well, read the question again and do whatever you think is best. And immediately you're like, oh, this evil person. They're trying to fail me. They're not giving you an answer here for one of two different reasons. A, they have absolutely no idea what any of these terms mean because they are not a CCIE, and their job is not to interpret the question for you, it's to do the three things I have listed here. Or B, they can't give you any idea of which of those you're supposed to use because somewhere implicitly or explicitly in the text, you get the answer. So they can't guide you towards one of these. It ruins the whole academic exercise of the particular task. So they are not evil. They are not evil. You're just going to feel like they're not helping you, and they're not helping you because either they're unable or they literally cannot based on what you are asking them. The fifth myth is that you will have no life, that the pursuit of CCIE will end up in you alienating yourself from all of your friends and family. Your dog will run off and you'll have just zero life. This is a myth. Let me prove it to you. When I was getting ready to pass, after several failed attempts at the lab, when I was finally saying, okay, I'm done, I'm going to master this thing, here was my schedule. Here was my schedule. Now, I worked all day. I worked at 9 to 5 at this point in my life. So I had this schedule. Monday, 8 to midnight, I would read and lab on my weakest areas. Tuesday, nothing but poker. Tuesday was poker night. By the way, I'm playing the World Series of Poker 1 week from today. So I want everyone listening in this live webinar right now to visualize the 52-card deck and the ace, two of those aces, and I would like you to have those appear for me next Tuesday. Can we all visualize that for just a second? Thank you. If I get ace next week, I'm going to post a personal thank you on my blog. All right, Wednesday, 8 to midnight, read and lab in the weak areas. Thursday, little longer of a session, 6 to midnight, I would complete a large section of a practice lab. So notice it's a little longer on Thursday night, and I might do like layer 2 and layer 3 and get them done from 6 to midnight with no errors, hopefully. So a little bit longer of a bigger practice. Friday night dedicated to friends. Saturday was hell day. Saturday, my daughter and wife would leave the house. I'm not kidding. They would leave the house every Saturday. And on Saturday, I would do 12 hours of practice labbing. Sunday, family time. So you can see that I have not lost my life. And these were my weeks up to passing. Prior to this, I studied even less. So you can work it out. Remember, there is no one way to do it. So please don't take this exact formula. This might not work for you. I want to say one quick thing about this as we get to the question and answer period here. I want to point out that this 12 hours on Saturday, why 12 hours? Well, one of the things that I struggled with in the lab was that it was 8 hours long. That's a long test for me. I became a private pilot, and when I did the practical private pilot exam, I flew with that guy for like an hour and a half, and that seemed long. This is 8 hours. 8 hours. I was really struggling with that. I would get fatigued. I would feel like I was losing my mind in the afternoon. I was stressed, blah, blah, blah. So I started doing 12-hour Saturday sessions, and the 8 hours of the actual lab seemed ridiculously short. By the way, I just noticed a comment. If you dedicated only Sunday to your family, then that's not a normal family. Thank you so much for the clarification. So look at this. I start studying here at 8 p.m. I have been with my family from 5 to 8 p.m. On Tuesdays, poker night, many times my wife would join because I love taking her money. Prior to the poker night, I would be with my daughter. Here, 8 o'clock start time. Again, I have family time in there. Friday wasn't just friends. Obviously, my wife and daughter were there as well. So, yeah, there's time that I have not shown in this particular schedule. Now, don't forget, I say bring a friend here because you guys and girls have the ability to do something that I never had, and that is have friends in the pursuit with you. We have a CBT Nuggets study community on Google Plus that is like crazy cool compared to what I had. I had no friends doing it with me. All my friends like Kevin Wallace and Keith Barker, they'd already gone. They'd already gotten theirs. They were like, hey, dude, good luck. We're here to help, but they're not going to study with me. They've already gone through that. So I had some terrible mailing list that was just negative all the time. And now there are these incredible communities where you can make friends legitimately and experience this process with them. By the way, quick bonus myth before I wrap up the 5 official ones, and that is Cisco's going to call you an expert. I don't know if I like that term at all. I sure wish the CCIE stood for Cisco Certified Inter-Network Engineer. In fact, that's really for the longest time what I thought it stood for. I have a little problem with this designation. I think when you're a CCIE, you have demonstrated the passion, the dedication, and you do have a tremendous amount of knowledge now to really take it to the next level. That's how I feel about it. It's like when I got my route switch, I didn't feel like an expert, definitely not. I felt like now whatever technology comes streaming down the pipe at me, I'm going to be able to master with relative ease. And that's what's been happening to me. Right now I'm teaching, as I told you, object-based storage devices, for EMC. And it's relatively easy for me because I grew up in a world of direct attached storage, and then I mastered network attached storage, and then I mastered storage area networking. So when you have the foundation that the CCIE level of knowledge gives you, learning new technologies is relatively simple. I'm going to answer questions now. We're going to go just a couple of minutes over time so I can get to some of those questions. I'll put this up at the very end of the presentation. It's how you can get in touch with me. And also, I wanted to do a quick plug, if you don't mind, and that is if you have friends that are interested in starting their journey, this isn't designated to anyone in this room because you're all well in your journey, but if you have friends just starting, I have 2 books available now on Amazon for those just starters. There's the latest, this exam just came out, Network Plus exam. It's a great flashcard and exam practice pack for that. And then of course, Cisco specific starting point, my ICND1 Foundation Learning Guide. So just thanks for allowing me that quick plug. Now let's do something that you're interested in. We've got questions here to answer. John asks, videos, CBT Nugget videos. Anthony, you have 2 more series to complete. Yes, John, thank you for the reminder. We are doing CCIE Route Switch. Jeremy Chara, Keith Barker, myself, we're doing these Nugget courses. The largest course CBT Nuggets has ever done, if you consider that it's 6 parts and you add up all the nuggets that are in those 6 parts. John, what's happening right now is I have 2 quick projects, and they are quick, that I'm going to finish up. The EMC project, and one I don't think I'm allowed to talk about yet, and then right back to the CCIE Nuggets. So many more CCIE Nuggets coming, and what I'm going to do this time, John, to allow you to view them quicker, is I'm going to focus on them. One of the things with CBT Nuggets that we were doing with the Nugget videos is they were kind of extra videos in addition to what we were currently working on, and people have been loving them. So we realized, oh, wait, whoa. We can't do these as kind of bonus content. We have to really dedicate ourselves to them. So they're going to be coming fast and furious. And we'll do them in order. So you can go in, log into your campus, and you'll have 2 more to watch. And then log in the next day, 2 more to watch, that type of an approach. A great question in here, I see this one all the time, and that is, can I really earn CCIE security as a fresher? And I love the term fresher. Fresher means you're a complete novice. You have maybe graduated from high school, or maybe you were in a career as an auto mechanic. You fixed automobiles, and now you want to earn CCIE security. Can you do that? The answer is yes. You heard it from me. Yes. You can be a complete and total fresher and earn your CCIE security. So many people have done it. They don't tend to talk about it. That's why we don't hear about it much. Think about it. You're never going to want to shout from the rooftops, I knew nothing about security, and then I became a CCIE security. You would never shout that, right? That doesn't sound good. You would instead shout, I'm a CCIE security. I've been studying the discipline for a long time. I'm very learned in it. I mean, you don't hear about it often, but yes, it's possible. See, here's the deal. There is no magic recipe for passing. Remember our myth on that? Let's see, it was myth right here. You have to do X to pass. But there is one thing we can say for sure. Hands-on practice. That is something that we all have to do. Hands-on practice on equipment. Virtualized equipment, like GNS3 or viral, actual equipment that you own or you rent, simulated equipment like a boson simulator or some other simulator, but hands-on practice is a requirement. Now, how much? Well, that's right where we get back to our variability. A fresher might need 1,200 hours. Someone that's been working in the security community for 5 years might need 400 hours. There's a tremendous variation there. So no exact blueprint to pass, and it's going to vary by person to person. And someone was making fun of the fact that my hairstyle changed 5 times in this presentation. Yeah, thanks a lot for noticing that. I'm still trying to land on a hairstyle. You think you've got problems trying to achieve the CCIE. By the way, I am so passionate about this topic, not because I occasionally teach it at CBT Nuggets. No, 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 no. I'm so passionate about this topic because I have the route switch and I am currently studying for the security. And after that, after I take a break, I'll probably start studying for data center. So I am not just the CCIE club president, I'm also a client. And that joke goes back to literally the 1980s, I believe. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead now and ask Anthony to wrap this up. I'd like the room to stay open because what I'm going to do for as long as our Real Talk friends will allow me, or Ready Talk, excuse me, I'm going to answer questions via text. So I can see a lot of questions that I've got to answer, and I'm going to type responses in. So Anthony, I'm going to turn it back over to you. If we could keep the Ready Talk conference center open, just so I can answer questions in the chat, that would be great.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, thanks so much, Anthony, for doing this presentation for everyone. It's been great.
Actually,
and thank you to all the attendees. Go ahead.
Anthony, I hate to interrupt you, but I just had a great question, or just thought. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy out of this queue, and I've already done it, the questions I didn't get to. So we can go ahead and just close. And what I will do is post the answers to those questions on my blog. So everybody, please note this blog address. Tomorrow I will have a post which answers the questions that I did not get to. Okay, so there we go. You're going to have your answers. Those answers will be at my blog. Thank you so much, Anthony, and I apologize for interrupting you.
Oh, no, no worries. All right, thanks so much, everyone, for joining us. As Anthony reminded you, check his blog out, and he'll have the answers to your questions there. And also, we'll be posting a recording of this webinar on our blog, blog.cbtnuggets.com. Thanks so much for joining us.